Hi everyone, and welcome to this course on Python programming. This video is just going to take us through how to accept the exercises in the course materials in GitHub Classroom and how to complete them and then resubmit them to GitHub and figure out whether or not they're correct via the automated testing. So when you come across an exercise in the course materials that looks like this, if we click on Accept Exercise on GitHub Classroom, then we should be greeted with this screen. Now, the first time you accept the exercise, you'll have a green button as long as you're signed into GitHub, which you should have done in the first part of the materials, and the green button will say accept this exercise. Once you've clicked accept, you get this link, which has been created for you, and this is your unique repository in GitHub. So this is just yours, and this is your GitHub username tagged onto the end of the exercise number. This video is going to look at how we can complete these exercises entirely within the Chrome browser. So there's no downloads or installs needed. And this is really useful for people who are working on a Chromebook, who don't want to download or install anything, or who don't have administrative rights on their computer. So if I click on work in Repl.it, then what this is going to do, the first time this opens, you might have to accept some permissions, and there is potentially a little bug somewhere along the line that means you might have to do it twice, but eventually, if you go back and click this button again, you should eventually end up within the Repl.it browser window. So once this loads up, it'll clone the repository into REPL, and all REPL is a way of running Python files inside a browser. It also links in with GitHub really nicely, so you can submit the exercises back to GitHub this way as well. So once it's loaded up, if I go into the source files, and if I go into my exercise file, then I should be able to complete the exercise as is instructed, and this exercise is to write print Ada Lovelace. And then if I run that, the first time it runs, it'll download and install some stuff, and the second time that it runs, once it's done that, it should just output Ada Lovelace. Now, the nice thing about this is that inside this, I can actually test that I'm correct. So if I just write Python and then a dash and an M and then PyTest in there, then what should come back is that it's passed. If this is incorrect, and I've actually spelled that wrong, then I run the same Python PyTest again. It'll tell me that it's failed, and it'll tell me where it's failed there as well. So you can actually check yourself before you go ahead and submit this exercise back to GitHub. To resubmit it to GitHub, if you go into version control on the left-hand side, we can just say attempted solution, and then I can commit and push that back to GitHub. Once that's all done, it'll be back in my main GitHub repository. So now if I go back to my GitHub repository, remember this is my unique one with my username, you'll see that I have this button, this indicator next to my solution. So if I click on that, this tells me exactly what's happening in terms of the automated testing that's going on in the background. So if I click on the details of this, I'll be able to go in and see exactly what tests have been run by this repository as I pushed it back up to GitHub. So if I go into the GitHub Classroom workflow, then this should all pass. At the moment, it's queued. So when that runs, when that finishes, you should see that it is completed. And if I go into the actual job itself, I click on auto grading, then I can have a look at exactly which test was run, and I can just see exactly the same thing as I saw in REPL, that it passed. If my solution was incorrect, that would give me the fail error this exact same fail error that I would see if I run PyTest inside Repl.it. So that's the overview of getting the repository into REPL, completing it in a browser, resubmitting it to GitHub, and checking that you're correct. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch. Links just underneath this video. You can get in contact with me.